Now 500 naira they collect them.
You no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Musayo Mesale, and today Mani and I are going solo. Not intentional though. We have amazing guests that are going to be joining us much later. How are you, Mani?
I'm fine.
You look amazing. I love your outfit.
Thank you.
Really, really nice. This is Adire, right?
I should think so, yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good. Looks really good. How are you? How's the week?
The week has
How was the
good.
week? The week has rounded off.
Yeah, I have to think, like, how was the week? I think the week has been good. Yeah, this week has been okay.
This has been the most eventful week of my life.
Are you serious? What happened? Tell
Long
us.
story. We'll talk about it behind cameras. But
Behind cameras.
on Monday, I did something very major that
major milestone.
Yeah, a major milestone that I'd been wanting to do for a very long time now, and it finally clicked. So I'm grateful to God. Looking forward to a fantastic journey.
I wish you well. I wish you well.
All right, so we're discussing alternate source of income, right? And here's what we found as today's quote. You can only be financially free when your passive income exceeds your expenses, right? This is from Tihav Eker. Now, the reality of most middle class, if not all Nigerians right now, is tied around the incessant fear and concern on the rising inflation, dwindling economy, and not enough money to go round. Prices keep going up, and this calls for a need for an increase in creating multiple streams of income. Chinelo Anene and Mary Oma Williams are here to discuss creating multiple streams of income towards financial freedom, as they will be sharing some of their journey towards that. But first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news. Can you turn off your talkback, please? All right, you're still watching Ways. Now, International Dance Day is observed globally on the 29th of April every year. The day celebrates the value and importance of the dance and encourages participation and education in this art form through events and festivals. Now, this day is also celebrated to promote the multiple benefits of dancing, to recognize dance as a stress reliever, expressing oneself, a way of celebrating happiness, and an activity that brings people together. Anybody that knows me knows that I love to dance.
Well, we have so many things in common.
Really?
Honestly.
I love to dance. So I can dance like, you know, people. So there was a time I remember when I was an undergrad. We went to one particular club like that. I danced to the point that people thought maybe I was high, and I was only taking water.
Yeah, so that's the same thing with me as well.
Because I don't do alcohol like that.
Yeah, far back in university, when I and my sister would attend parties, they would leave the floor for us.
Yes, so.
We would dance ourselves out. And the minute I get into a party, I start dancing till the minute I'm about to leave. I don't think I'm supposed to be sitting down there.
Thank you.
No,
so my friend did a 40th, right, at, where was it now? And I went for the party. Omo, the way I was dancing, they had to go and tell my friend, her friends, because when I came into the party, everyone was just sitting down.
I don't do that.
I came late.
I
came late and I was dancing till because I had said that this one is my friend, so I will dance till my feet hurt. Yeah. So they were not saying that. I hope they were telling. So my friend called me later and said that all the other friends were saying that I hope she paid me serious money because that dance.
You know, that's the thing. I don't know when you now start dancing like that. People now start thinking, is everything okay? Everything is fine.
But I only do that when I really know you and I'm close with. So I would dance in your party. So even my friend's party that we attended, her mom's 80th as well. We danced. She started begging us, "Oh, yeah, mother, come to the house."
I'm like that. I love that.
But dance is good. It's for me. It keeps me happy and so, and again, I remember whilst we were growing up, my dad and my mom, they love music and they love to dance as well. So we'll just play loud music like that some days. My dad would be giving us some dance moves in the house, and my mom as well. So
I do that with my children.
Yeah, so my mom and my dad, they used to do that a lot. So for us, dance is in the blood.
It's therapeutic.
It's therapeutic.
Yeah.
So. Very, very therapeutic. All right, so we have a lot to talk about. So what did you find for us in the news?
Okay, I found something really inspiring. And every time we always talk about all the downside of Nigeria, all the things that are not working. So I decided to look for something really interesting. A university dropout builds electric vehicles and tricycles. So a university dropout, Mustafa Gajibo, has successfully explored ways to produce energy to build electric vehicles and tricycles due to the power situation in the country. So according to Gajibo, he uses solar panels to power the vehicles, and the first prototype was done in 2 years. So renewable energy, you know, this is energy that is collected from renewable resources that are naturally replenished on human time scale. And it can include sunlight, wind, rain. And this guy, you know, see, for me, I just saw that this was something that was coming. For Gajibo, he wanted to solve the problem of carbon emissions in the environment and also solve the high cost of transportations. So we must note here that Gajibo is a university dropout. You know, formal education or school as we know it is not a ruse, nor is it the only means of determining one's genius. People can succeed with or without a formal education. Hence my annoyance anytime we talk about the government, you know, providing an enabling environment for economic growth. So I just look at this and I just see that, look at the boss.
The solar panel.
The solar panel on top of it. So
as long as there is sun.
Yes, you can just go around without the need to buy fuel.
We have enough of that.
Imagine if we had this, then transportation would be cheaper. Then there will be, you know, us helping the environment with
at the same time, because that reduces the effect of climate change and all of that.
So I think this is a very wonderful thing, and there's so many people always looking. Thank God today we are talking about multiple streams of income. So many people are always thinking about different forms of investment. What do I do? What can I do? I think it's very good at this point in time to partner with someone like this.
And produce a lot.
And produce a lot.
Create a big...
We have an innocent group of motors in Nigeria right now that they're producing cars. I think
they should partner with him.
Thank you, because what this guy does, this Gajibo, he produces the engine, he produces everything, the solar, and also Innocent can produce the body. of the car, and this guy can put the engine and all, and everything will be fine. So I think this is our own Nigerian Elon Musk. Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. You know, the funny thing again is that, last week we talked about vocational institutions,
yes.
right?
So,
and you see, and this is what I keep saying, that if the Nigerian government can only see the potential that we have on our inside, and that's what even, what's it called, spiraled into the conversation that we're having today, because these ladies that we're going to be featuring, they have also been through some level of vocational skills, to improve themselves. So I'm just saying that there's so much potential, and not everybody's actually caught out. So what even caught my attention was the fact that he was a dropout. So not everybody is caught out for the formal kind of education.
Yes, the 4 walls of a university,
but they have the intellect. I mean, if you look at even your what's it called, billionaires that we always celebrate, the Zuckerbergs,
they are dropouts.
What's it called, Microsoft and all of that. Most of them also, if you check their history, at some point there were also issues with school. They had to leave school, and so if we understand the power that we
create the different avenues or channels for these people.
So the ones that can still go through 4 walls of formal university, go ahead. But if not, but this kinds of thing, I hear that they've also resuscitated the Peugeot in Kaduna, right? So imagine if companies, the car manufacturing companies, begin to partner with somebody like this. We get cheaper cars in the country. We're saving our climate. So there's a lot that can happen from one human being, right?
I would like to hear,
some kinds of deals that will be signed after this.
I just would love
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
This is what we should be talking about 2023. Don't be telling me you want to build roads. All right, so my story is actually, is a downer. I should have taken your story last.
Yes.
Because, my story is a downer because I saw something. Actually, somebody called me and was telling me about something that was trending because I had seen a video of someone having sex with her dog or something. So someone now sent me a video. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it. I want to eat afterwards. But I saw this tweet by Kemi Oluloyo, right? And it was quite interesting when she was talking about bestiality. I think that's the whatever.
Yeah.
Is when humans are having sex with animals. So she was saying that we've seen herdsmen having sex with their cows and many young ladies willing to have sex with dogs in Lekki, Lagos for as much as 2 million naira. Lekki currently has a huge, now this was what caught my attention, huge HIV outbreak.
Ew.
Bestiality is not a crime in Nigeria. So maybe the government should start to think about it now, making it illegal. Now, rich men in Lekki pay these girls up to about 2 million to have sex with their dogs and and they film it, creating something like a bestiality porn video, which are online and also, so it's just a lot going on so one lady was now asking, how do they make the money from this? He said, so this is not so much about money. It's just like feeding some kind of sick mindset that we see that is, going around. So I want to ask, is this that it is a case of poverty, or this is a case of now you just want, because a lot of these girls, is not for that they are doing this thing because they want to feed. They've gone beyond feeding. Most of these people actually want to drive the big cars, be in big houses and all of that, things that they cannot afford. So what exactly is driving this, right? And today we're talking, why I actually chose this topic, we're talking multiple streams of income. Nobody wants to even do any form of decent income stream anymore. Most young ladies, they would rather do something like this. I watched the video, I think I shared it to you, where the lady was saying that the guy said, I'll give you a decent job that can pay you. She said, no, I'd rather go and do hookup. So these are the kinds of things that we're seeing that is trending. I'm just hoping that, because it's getting really bad.
Yeah, I think the whole situation with the country is forcing the people who normally would do evil things to do even more evil things now. So I don't think it's about poverty. For these people doing this, I think it's maybe a case of poverty in the women meeting a case of evil spirits, possessed men. Yeah, so it's crazy.
There's a lot going on. I was thinking to talk about it, but somebody was saying that Nigerians are not that open-minded because he actually has that fetish. Someone reached out to me and said he knows somebody that had the fetish. I said, okay, speak to the person. Would the person be willing to talk to us about it? Let us even understand why people would do such thing. He said, no, Nigerians are not open-minded, but we're not open-minded. A lot of people, this is the new rave in town, the practice that is going on.
And you know why it's so dangerous? It's so dangerous because you see these girls that have been with these animals.
They
or
go
the
to
guys,
they go with men.
They go with other humans.
So what?
And the humans go with other humans, and it just becomes, you know, a circle.
Bottom line,
of rubbish.
better keep yourself. It's not a must that you must have. It's true that because you don't know where the man or the woman that you're going to be having sex with has been. So just keep yourself.
Or protect yourself.
Auntie, I'm not even going to think about that. Ew. All right. On that very downer note,
Really
let's discuss multiple streams of income that does not involve these kind of things. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. On the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, most people are living paycheck to paycheck, and developing additional streams of income can really help you feel more financially secure rather than relying on a single paycheck, experts say. And it can put you in a position to grow your wealth. Diversifying income streams is a strategy the wealthiest already employ. Almost 2/3 of self-made millionaires, 65%, have at least 3 sources of income, according to Rich Habits, author of Tom Corey, who studied the habits of 233 millionaires, including 177 self-made millionaires. About 3 in 10 had 5 or more streams of income before you start a side hustle or pursue a new revenue stream. One of the most important steps is to be sure and clear about what you want to achieve with it. So we are asking, how can we create multiple streams of income towards financial freedom? That's the question. Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WeShow. Now, I just remembered something. I want to attack money on live television. So that's how they call you for something that you know that is not your forte. And you just say, I can do it, money. Why? You do so many things. I just remembered now.
Guess what? I didn't do it.
But you wanted to do it. If I did not attack you, don't you know that is Uwa's job?
You guys don't even take us seriously.
Don't come to Bunny with any business plan. Though. She will just collaborate. But you are someone that you do a lot of things.
Yeah. My name is Money. I thought you got the memo. Be secure financially. And okay, with what happened 2 years ago with COVID-19 and all, a lot of people lost their jobs.
True.
They did not think, people that did not even think that it could happen, they lost their jobs. So what happened? They, started living lower than they would want to live. So for me, I just feel that have different sources of income. I worked in different banks, and in one of the banks I was in the HR department. So I came out of banking. I've set up my law firm. Law firm is 12 years old this year, but I also have a HR company running on the side. I also have different
cleaning services. Interior. Should I be mentioning them?
No. Some of them are
so they are coded. Okay.
Yeah. But the truth is, I am a believer. For many reasons, it helps you to create financial security. It's a ticket out of debt. Then it also helps to control your blood pressure. Because if you have money, then you have peace of mind. Yes. So for me, it's about all these things. And then, right from when I was a child, I always heard my parents saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So why do I go to school, come out, be as old as I am, and put all my eggs in one basket? Why would I want to do that? So I diversify.
Some of us were just beginning to wake up.
Well, then wake up. They say whenever you wake up is your morning.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let me bring in our guest. Mary Oma Williams is a performance-driven premium and luxury brand builder with a vast knowledge of exquisite luxury brand across high-end timepieces and jewelry and luxury lifestyle. She's skilled in management, luxury retail, sales, and marketing strategy with a BSc in business administration from Covenant University. We have 2 guests. So Chinelo, on the other hand, Chinelo Anene is an eccentric real estate consultant, passionate scent enthusiast, and endearing childhood educator. Chinelo fondly refers to as Nello, is definitely a spontaneous being with different creative hearts. She is currently the creative head of Aromantic NG, yes, a home fragrance brand, and the head of sales and marketing at the top leading real estate development company in Lagos. She is a powerful force to reckon with and uses her tireless energy to break new financial grounds and succeed. So, and might I add, they're both looking and smelling beautiful. Our studio is oozing of the scent. So thank you so much, Nello and Mary, for joining us tonight. So first of all, you guys look amazing. I've already said that like a billion times, So last week, right, this conversation started off last week, and it was quite instructive for us because we were talking about, vocational institution, and we met with the CEO of a particular company that, just launched her factory where they train people. And for us, it just said a lot of things. It said things like not the regular or the traditional vocational studies that you have in your head that, it's almost like you don't have any work you want to do in this life. You go and learn how to fry puff and all those kind of things. So for me, what she did, she just blew my mind, because I now saw someone like myself actually looking towards going into learning a vocational skill, someone like Manny, because now there is a standard. And you're not just doing it because you feel like doing it. You know that when you do it, you will get it right, and it will be like an immediate push into growing whatever it is that you wanted to, grow before you even decided to go in that first place. So maybe I'll start with Mary. If you can just share a bit of your background quickly and what made you go into learning, I think this perfumery you went to learn or something, or candle making. Awesome, yeah.
So basically, I studied business administration, came out of school, I did NYSC in banking, and then I went to luxury retail. So in between luxury retail, I'm at a pause, and I've always had a passion for scents. Incense, candles, I'm always, burning something, and I've wanted to learn about it. So I came across Abella on Instagram. Yeah. And, it just keeps popping up. I mean, algorithms and all of that. And I'm just like, okay, I might as well take this on. The industry is huge. It's a growing industry, and I can see the potential in it. As much as even when I worked at Polo, how I knew about the first thing that drew my attention was I walked into the office and I'm like, this place smells nice.
Smells good.
What is it? So I looked up where they buy their diffusers from, and I'm always buying one candle, or always buying something and everything. And it's a huge industry I want to tap into. And I went to Abella, and she did an amazing work, really. The insights that she gave is really amazing. You can see that this is not someone who is just saying, let me just do a business because everyone is into business. There's a structure towards everything. She's teaching you the calculations, the minute details. And also, she's telling you about aesthetics. She's telling you to think globally. So I've seen the industry space. It's an industry space that is growing wild. And I decided to take an opportunity in it because I do like scents. I'm crazy. I'm really grateful, like how everyone says, "Oh, I'm smelling nice," because that's like the greatest compliment that I can ever get. Like if I'm spraying a perfume, it's like, oh shit. Like when I come outside and someone says, "What are you wearing?" It's heavenly to me, And I've burnt candles, and I've had my friends say, "Oh, Mary, like my clothes smell like your house," and it gives me so much joy. And, I'm also learning the psychology behind scents, and, it's really powerful as well. So that was how I got into the whole
Awesome, awesome. That's quite interesting. Let me come to you, Nello.
Okay, so my story is quite interesting because, when it comes to multiple streams of income, I think I'm like a pro at that. I'm a typical Igbo girl. So there is, for me, I'll take from university, it's either been event planning, it's been, okay, you come tell me, we can sell clothes, we can sell shoes, do you know we can do, as far as it brings in money,
you're there.
I'm there. So, how did I know, right? So, yeah, how did I start? It was, initially when I started my brand, Aromatic, I didn't have any technical knowledge, right? So I was outsourcing my product. So I had people that were doing private labeling for me. And then I realized, I think this thing can be better because I had my fair share of disappointments. Like sometimes I would get the candles and then they're not properly made, or the diffusers, I have customers complaining, And then, of course, I saw that advert to, learn. And then I went there and I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me actually learn this. And it was interesting for me particularly because, when people say they're going to learn hairdressing, they're going to learn barbering, there's this look they always guess, you know, just
like
demeaning. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, it's not actually so bad to learn a skill. And I've come to understand that with the way the world is going, you definitely cannot survive without having multiple streams of income. You have to be doing more than one thing. I lost my job, I didn't have a job for 3 months. And I don't know how I would have survived if I didn't have other streams. I mean, I don't know what would have happened to me. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity. And I mean, I would also want to tell people that, see, don't look down on people that are doing any vocational training of any sort. It's actually very, very important to have multiple streams of income.
So I like what you touched on. I'll come to you, Manny. I like what you touched on because, again, this is what we're saying and that was why it was very instructive for us when, you know, Abella, she's my friend, but it's beyond friendship. I know the story. I know how I was doing guinea pig to be testing whether the candle is smelling that. But her attention to excellence and detail, you know, got me very, very interested in her brand. So I monitored it over the years. So when that eventually kicked off, I said, finally. So you see, the reason somebody will look down on somebody that is going to go and do hairdressing, really, how many, apart from the very few salons that started, you know, branding themselves in a particular way, how many people would say, okay, you can boast of, you know, graduates, you know, from top universities coming to your vocational school to come and learn something? It's very difficult. And that's why we were saying, you know, I mean, when we talked last week, we were talking about the government has to take it seriously. Look at the young boy we talked about, the solar cars. Just imagine if there is a vocational school where I can go and learn how to replicate what he's doing.
And more people.
You understand? So what do you think happens to the overall GDP of your economy, right? So for me, multiple streams of income is not just something that we should just be looking at it and be sounding very, very touche. It has to be something that must be in our subconscious, that everybody must understand that you cannot just do one thing, right? But let me come to you, Manny.
Okay, I would like to ask you some questions. Like, what did you study in school?
Okay, so I studied computer science.
Computer science, okay. So you didn't mind going to a vocational school because, you know, you talked about the look you get from people when you say you're going. So what would you say to the people now that are watching, our viewers, who have this thing? They feel like learning something else, another skill, but they don't have the time. They don't even think that their jobs would allow them. Yes, they don't have the time, and they don't have the money to pay for it. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, so the truth is, let me start from time, right? The truth is, you create time for whatever matters to you. So if you don't, and I mean, if you have a passion for something, right, you will some way, somehow, I mean, you can't say you don't have 2 hours every day, so to speak, right? And thankfully, some of these vocational schools now have, like, what I call it part-time, right? So you can actually walk in and have a conversation and say, okay, I actually do a 9 to 5 and I want to do this. So what plan can you draw up for me? So I don't think time is an excuse. Again, I would say having multiple streams of income is very important in the way the world is going. Okay, now there are people that are jackpotting. I mean, you go to a strange land, right? You probably go for school or you relocate with family or something. I hear most of my friends that I know that have relocated say, oh, I mean, I'm earning XYZ amount, but I know that I still need more money. And I know people who have learned makeup, who have learned hairdressing, who have learned whatever, and then that's how they're actually, you know, making extra income to survive, right? So you can find yourself anywhere at any time. So you do. My dears, please don't.
Then how about the money part? You know, I don't know how much you pay to learn, you know, this skill. What do you say about it to the viewers who want to know if it's expensive?
Expensive is relative, if I'm being honest. But you see, nothing good comes cheap too, right? But also, that's why we need to bring in the government into this. So if the government also creates means, I remember growing up, there used to be a technical college around where I live. Right? I don't know if we still have things like that these days. So I think the government needs to do a great job developing those technical colleges so that people like Abella, for example, can then go there and offer classes. I mean, I'm sure it won't be as expensive as it would be in her school, right? And there are several other things people could learn. So if the government encourages vocation or let's say vocational trainings, they would create means to make it
cheaper, like
more
subsidized.
affordable. Yes. Yes.
So I'd like to hear from Mary, because somebody will look at her and say, this lady's posh, you know, this kind of...
How do you do it?
You know, they'll wonder why you decided to pick luxury, because luxury is not particularly, is not as popular as you have it. It's just recently now that people are really paying attention to the kind of things they use, their curtains, their bed sheets, and all of that. So how will that translate into real income, you know, that it's like an everyday thing, you know, for you? But you know what? I just want to take us through one small break. When we come back from the break, you'd answer that question. Stay with us. We'll be right back. If you just tuned in, we're having an amazing chat with Chinelo and Mary on creating multiple streams of incomes towards financial freedom. Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet to us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag Wayshow. All right, so Mary, I asked the question around luxury, right? Because, you know, people have argued that if you want to be a billionaire in this world, you must make sure that whatever commodity that it is you're selling is for mass market, right? So how are you able to, you know, look at this field and see that, yes, there's a lot of opportunities in the, the luxury space right now? Because I know it, hey, how these people that say hair, that is, when I calculate, I'm putting 10 plots of hair on my, 10 plots of land on my head, you know. But luxury is actually gaining a lot of grounds and all of that. But how are you able to, first of all, why did you choose luxury? And secondly, how are you able to translate that into income for you?
So basically, I like the lifestyle.
You see that you just look like
the baby girl.
The baby girl that you are.
I'm right from when I was, you know, young.
Yeah.
Even my mom or my aunties would tease me. This one you like shakara too much. This one you like, you know, you just. And I had an auntie, you know, who's a bit boxed up, so I used to everything. I'm taking after her. I see how auntie carries her bag. Okay, you know, and I got into the luxury space, and it's huge. Social media also has helped as well, you know, to boost the lifestyle, to say, okay, there's more to the basic living, you know, I'm just earning my small money, and, you know, you're now saying you can do more, you can explore. And we're in an age where everything has to be aesthetically pleasing.
True.
You know, beauty comes in every way, from how you're appearing on TV, you know, from what is it. And sometimes I realized that's just all it takes, it's the aesthetics. When you now add your technical know-how and your quality to it, you can set your pricing as high as you want to go to appeal to the people who are on
your target market.
Yeah, you know. So for me, that's what it is. It has created income in the sense that these days, I mean, like you said about the girls, everyone's pushing the lifestyle, you know. In as much as I'm pushing the lifestyle in an authentic way because, as we said, money gives you freedom. money gives you peace. You know, we talk about how today Gen Zs are moving, you know, from one job to another. It's because we don't see ourselves trapped in like our parents' generation. For most of our parents who made it today, they're either the evil business people, or they're the ones in politics, or you see they just stayed in service and retired. You know, my parents are not even business wise, so I'm telling you, I have a struggle, you know, coming out of that, you know, because it's just go to the office
get a walk,
and, you know,
get a
and
job.
I'm just like, no, like I mean, that doesn't allow me to express myself, you know, how I want to. I want to be in another country and still be able to work and still have money working for me. When I visited Abella, I could see the potential. You know, she has gone beyond creating products to now creating an empire where you're also empowering people, you know, to you know, do better and have other multiple streams of income. If even relating it to my parents, you know, you're going to learn candle making, they really do not understand.
Yeah.
When I came out of school, I went to learn makeup. So now I would say I haven't even seen myself be that vocational, I mean handy, but I've always just had a flair, and you know, everything fits together in some way. It could be an advisory, it could be the hands-on, you know. So for whatever it is I'm doing, I want to go beyond like just selling the product. I want to educate you. So selling luxury to me is also teaching people what luxury is. It's not just about carrying a Birkin bag, and you know, it's something that comes from within. You know, it's a substance. When you see confident people, yes, the money does, you know, help to boost your esteem, but it's a lifestyle that comes from within. And I can see that in my generation, is something that is, you know, is making waves right now. So if you can create a business out of that, people want what is aesthetically pleasing. As little as their Instagram page, you know, you want it to be arranged, you want it to look, you know, a certain way. And the older generation, sometimes when you have these conversations, they kind of they can't relate. But the truth is, you know, you're addressed how you
be addressed.
Yes. If I walk into a place and I'm going for an interview and I look this way, you know, there's a certain level of respect, you know, that comes as well. If I'm speaking about my candles, there's a certain level of technical know-how. I'm also very strong on quality. So luxury is not just about how expensive it is. Are you getting value
for your money?
For your money? Do you understand? Like where I braid my hair, everyone, like, because I do braids a lot, everyone always asks me, oh, where do you do your braids? And now I can see that the young lady, she's really good. I like how she picks my hair. I'm that detailed. But so like what I can see now for her is she doesn't have that branding, that aesthetic. Oh, she's gonna put you in a AC environment. It does not concern her, but she knows the job. Do you understand? So every time I'm going there, I know I'm not going for fancy. I just want to get my hair done properly. So now, being Gen Z, being educated, going to school, is refining such things, you know. I like when I walk into a Hickey's hair and I'm offered tea. It sounds very bougie, but come on, it's what we want.
Hickey is my hair supplier.
You know, it's what we want, you know, is that you walk into a store and the person greets you and the person says, oh, welcome, ma, you know, they remember your name, they remember it's lifestyle incorporated. And you know, that's the area I want to focus on. That's the aspect I want to, you know, deliver service on, you know, because I'm big.
Well, you know,
that.
the funny thing about what you just said is the biggest missing link in Nigeria today. We don't understand customer experience, and Uti would always talk about customer experience because customer experience is what guarantees sustenance in business. Because you can be everything. Hickey is also someone that I know when she started, you know, she chop all our money away. You know, but if you go into her salon, for instance, you would realize that, you know, this is someone that is doing this business with a difference, right? It's not just, yes, you can get your launch done anywhere, but there is something more that they are offering. So how do we tie up all of this? Because yes, we want to push for and I'll come to you, Nello. We want to push for multiple streams of income, but how do we tie it up in a way that we're not losing the quality of what is being delivered amongst all the multiple streams that we are trying to, that we are maintaining a standard of excellence, quality, what's it called, value for money and all of that with your clients, ensuring that as you're making that money, you're also giving excellent delivery as well. How do we tie that up?
Okay, so I'll give personal experiences, right? So I'll start with, I've been a teacher, right? And I was a teacher at a British primary school. So I mean, you can imagine the caliber of people that are bringing their children there. I mean, it's not cheap, right? So you're dealing with people that have that belong to a certain class. And I mean, if you misbehave, they're pulling their child out the next day. So there's that. I think it all just boils down to people having quality training, right? So I mean, if as a teacher in such school, I don't have the adequate training to know that, okay, if I'm dealing with this kind of situation, this is how I should handle it, this is how I should behave, this is how I should treat this child, this is what I should say, this is what I shouldn't say. I wouldn't know what to do and what's going to happen there. Fine, I might be the excellence teacher, right, delivering quality education and whatnot, but if I'm not warm to that child, the child is not retaining any knowledge.
Absolutely.
So I've lost on that end. Now let's come to me being a real estate consultant. I'm dealing with clients that want to buy houses over, talking about 100 million, 150 million. They're spending a lot of money there. I mean, even if, yes, we know how these people can be sometimes, they're talking to you in certain type of making some demands that don't just make any sense, right? But then you have to know how to address them. You have to know how to cajole them. You have to know how to convince them to do whatever it is, or rather to spend whatever money it is they want to spend. You're selling candles, or you're selling diffusers, or you're selling room sprays, or whatever it is. If your product is not great enough, or even if your product is great, and then you have a client that wants to buy, and your client has probably complained and said to you, oh, the last time I got the 150-gram candle, XYZ happened, there was a sinking, there was this, there was, and I'm just like, I don't know what happened, live with it. That person won't come back to you to buy, right? So I think it all just boils down to having adequate training, because that's the only way you're able to then sustain, manage all of the things that it is that you are doing. So that's
absolutely.
That's
I think even to add to that, outside of even the training, you also need to add, expertise in a lot, because there's not expertise. Knowledge of, you must really know the in and out of it, right? And again, people management, emotional intelligence.
I was also going to add to that, human resources. Because if you're sitting in your 9 to 5, you're not going to be able to run around and do the things you're supposed to do. So you need human resources, people, foot soldiers, doing the running around.
Absolutely. Let me add something. I have to testify to that, because it's been, so I started my home fragrance brand last year, and it was a struggle for me because at the time I had a proper 9 to 5, and I started that business out of the blues. I literally woke up one day and I had always had it in mind, right? But I decided to take that step. I just looked and I'm like, I'm doing this today, and if I didn't have the people I have in my life right now, I don't know how, because we literally planned a brand launch in, I think, 5 days. Yes, 5 days. And they were all looking at me like I was crazy, but then I had people who believed and could run around for me. Actually, Tammy, she's like, no, you know what, we're going to do this today. Chinelo, what's going on? What's up with the decorator? Have we gotten the candles? Have we gotten diffusers? So I think that's very, very correct. Human resources is very, very important.
Very important, because I run multiple streams of income. I know the power of people. So I have people at my disposal.
As a money person.
And they're loyal to you.
To an extent, they're loyal. So you find some that are very loyal. You find some that are not so loyal. You just have to learn how to manage them. With people, you manage people. Some of them have been working with me for over 10 years, 12 years. Yeah, so loyalty has been accomplished over time. Then there are some of them that just started working with me maybe a year ago, and it's still building. So you build it, they're building blocks, but we're going somewhere.
Absolutely. So let's take some comments. Good evening, ladies. You have intelligent guests with you, great ideas and implementation. Nigerian government should create an enabling environment for citizens to attain a greater height. Do have a great weekend, ladies. This is Ade, and he's sending us message live from the UK. Thank you, Ade, for the days that our YouTube decides to work. But so I'd like to hear you. You want to take your message now? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we have Daniel Ilo, a regular, saying, "Good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying Ways. Concerning the idea of financial freedom and making extra income, it is very important to the individual. My dear beautiful sister Chinelo just hit the nail on the head and made a strong point by saying that you cannot make it and survive by doing just one thing alone. Salary earners, to be honest and sincere, cannot make it comfortably alone because some of them earn peanuts and they need to complement it with adding part-time businesses to it. Let's take an example from the guy who had so much talent in his head and hand and built a car. I am sure that by now he's surviving comfortably. Who knows, he may even be the breadwinner of the family." Thank you, Daniel Ilo.
So haven't, because it's beyond just learning the skill. So what are the drivers for then pushing what you have learned to actual sales? You know, converting this. You know, so what would you advise? You know, so after that, are you going to take more classes for probably marketing? She's already looking like she's a brand consultant.
She's very the brand expert.
You know, because when you listen to her, you would know she's a brand expert. Because when it comes to, because it's beyond just selling. Honestly, sometimes guess what? People can actually package sand and sell it to you and tell you this is the best thing that happens.
50 cents sold water.
Yes,
and he made a fortune.
Yeah, I mean, what's his name? Will Smith's son as well is selling water too now. So I mean, so it's not just about the product anymore. So now that we've learned the skill to do the work, like maybe we've gone to learn scent making, candles, we've learned hair making, nails, and all of that. So how do we translate that into a proper business that is now generating the income? You want to go first?
Okay. It's not so easy. You know, everyone's going to say entrepreneurship, second stream of income. My dear, when you actually hit it, you will just say, please let me sit down and use my 9 to 5 and collect my salary. You know, it's really not so easy. But what I would say is the driver is if you have a vision, of where you're going, that is going to be what will push you. I'm someone who works best on how I feel. So learning the candle class, everything I'd written in that candle class, I went back to like my notes from uni because I journal a lot. And I've been reading up on candles, I've been reading up on those exact things as and when I was in like 100 level in university. So like even getting to the class, there are times when I'm looking at Bella and like as in our eyes are locking and it's like, you know,
I know you know.
So now translating that into sales hasn't been easy. Also because I do not want to just give anything out. I don't want to just put anything out there all in the name of I want to make money. Maybe because I'm in the luxury space and I'm saying if I'm going to sell a candle for 25k or 35k, I have to be giving you something. There has to be a reason why you're coming back. So there's a lot of, you know, building up that you would do. And coming out into the world, nobody's going to push you. Sometimes, I'll be honest, is your poverty that is going to push you to, you know, to translate it, to do it. I can't. There are no technical know-hows. But you have to put up a strategy. You have to put up a plan. You have to put yourself out there. Look for funding if you do not have funding. If it means taking loans, borrowing, just to get it running, put yourself out there. Social media has made things a whole lot easier for us. What are you saying? And not a situation where you put it out for a while and you sit back. It's something you have to constantly be doing. Yeah, do you understand? Like, it's like sales. Like, I mean, you have to be on yourself. So even when I'm resting, even when I feel like, let me drop it in my head, my mind is thinking, is this candle thing, or is this, you're going to blow from this candle thing? if you sleep on it, you're sleeping on, whatever it is. When I'm buying something, if I'm buying hair, I'm thinking, have you bought measuring scale? Have you bought your candle things? That's a driver. Your situation will drive you. Your passion will move you. And for me, I'm in a phase where I want to create with my hands. Not even necessarily. Yes, I know I've gotten to a stage where I know that the money is going to come. The money has to come out of it. But you have to believe in that dream. I think the belief really is even what pushes you the most. I found myself asking my friend a question to say, she started a food business, and I said, so like, is this what you'll be doing now? And she said, what do you mean by that? Like, why do you think I can't stay here doing this food business and make millions out of it? And I thought to myself, I looked at parents around me. My auntie has been doing catering. It's only food we know, for. Specialize in what you're doing. And that's where your treasure is.
It's definitely.
That's where your treasure. In fact, the longer you're doing it, the more you're gaining grounding in it. Absolutely. The more your expertise is growing. Absolutely. And with your own unique selling points, your own authentic self that you're bringing to it, that's what separates you out.
Absolutely.
And definitely you make money.
We were talking and we forgot that the time has flown away. If you had one thing to say, Chinelo, what would that be?
Okay, so what would drive you? Or let me use myself. What drives me? I want to make money.
So how are you translating everything you've learned into cash for you?
So I've tried to make everything as practical as possible, and then make sure that people love to see consistency. So I've made sure that I'm consistent in everything that I'm putting my hands into. And I think that's it.
Money, you had anything to say?
Yeah, if I have one thing to say, I would say that for some people, they feel very guilty when they need to do another stream of income, because they think they're being disloyal to their employers. So for me, I don't think it's you're being disloyal. Even in the Bible, there's a parable about the talents, and it says that God gave some 5, some 2. I just feel that I'm one of the people that God gave maybe like 15 talents. Maybe like 15. And I have to express myself. I have to find a way. So if you are there, find an outlet.
But what I would just add to what Manny has said, if you're under unemployment, try to make sure that the work is not suffering. So where there's the problem is where you lose focus. If you want to do something, everybody needs those multiple streams of income, but ensure that you're dedicating your time to who is paying you salary.
Because if you don't, they will sack you.
And if you don't, when you start employing people, they'll do the
same
thing to you.
Actually,
they'll do the same to you as well.
Thank you.
I think we had a friend. What a great way to wrap up the week. Thank you so much, Nello. Thank you, Mary. We had a fantastic conversation. Thank you, Manny Money.
Yes,
Jesus. I'm following you home. Now, before we go, ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, and invite your family and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. You can only be financially free when your passive income exceeds your expenses, that you are sleeping and the money is working for you. Like Mary says she wants to be in another country and the money will be working for her somewhere else. Yeah, that's what we're looking forward to. We'll see you guys live on Monday at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
And now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akuga as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akuga. Our lead story in today's package is an update on the recent fire outbreak at an illegal crude oil refining site in Ohaji Egbema local government area of Imo State, where over 100 persons were killed in one fell swoop. Next in our lineup is a follow-up report on a previous fire incident at the exhibit yard of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps NSCDC at Iriebe community in Rivers State. We will, in the course of the program, bring you an update on the endorsement of Olorogun David Edevie as consensus candidate by the Urobo Progress Union, UPU, in the 2023 governorship election in Delta State. And finally, into this package is a report on the commissioning of a primary healthcare center at Kenan community in Sagbama local government area of Bayelsa State by member representing Sagbama Ikirimo Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, Honorable Fred Agbedi. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, making a difference.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. Hundreds of families in Ohaji, Egbema local government area of Imo State are still grieving over the loss of their loved ones following last week's fire incident at a local artisanal crude oil refining site where several lives were lost. Some youths in the community told Inside the Niger Delta that no fewer than 500 persons cannot be accounted for since the tragic incident occurred. Correspondent Chika Abodozie, who was at Abezi community, the location of the fire explosion, tells us more.
We're right here at the abandoned Udeze camp in Abeji Forest in Egbema, Imo State, where tragedy struck on Friday the 22nd of April 2022 when fire gutted the entire bunkering camp.
It had taken a long ride of over an hour from the heart of Abezi community to the local artisanal refining site located in a thick forest. When our crew arrived at the camp, scores of dead bodies burnt beyond recognition littered the entire area. It is not clear how many lives were lost in the inferno, but sources in the community have it that hundreds of persons may have been killed.
From my community, we should be counting of 100 or 200 that were buried. What about the other communities? What about the neighboring communities? What about those who've not been able to actualize their location? Like a sister we've been searching for her, we've not gotten her location, we've not gotten her address. Called her number for some time and we're not able to get to them. So this is another disaster that has struck my people. Seriously, I am so devastated.
Precisely like my community, we are looking for about 100, and I don't know about other communities. But so many souls, if you look at this place now, you can see that so many people have been burned ashes. You cannot recognize any of them. So the number we can see, you can just manage anyhow. We can't predict any number any longer. You can say 500 or 600.
Udenze camp covers a vast landmass and served as one of the largest crude oil bunkering sites in the Niger Delta, where bunkers tapped into an oil pipeline running through the area to siphon crude oil. The camp also had a refining site, which a local resident, Godtime Udogo, identified as a source of the fire.
It was a local fire that came out from where they were refining the products. So the fire caught up with the gas here. So everybody that was in here got surrounded by the fire. No single soul escaped, unless the ones that were sitting aside. But the ones that stayed here, almost 400 to 500 people here, they got burnt and none of them escaped.
The location of Udenze camp is in Egbema, a border community between Imo and River states, where many, including women and children, were busy eking out a living. The tragic incident is blamed on rising poverty levels occasioned by joblessness in the Niger Delta, particularly in Akwa Ibom, Imo and River states, which in a report released by the National Bureau of Statistics in the first quarter of 2021 ranked among 6 states with the highest unemployment rates in the country. It would be recalled that in January 2019, former president of the Movement for the Survival of Ogoni People, Ledum Mite, had warned that it would be practically impossible to dislodge youths engaged in illegal oil bunkering, which for them had become a major source of livelihood.
That industry, if what it is, employs about 500,000 youths in the Niger Delta today. And the GDP of that economy is about 3 times the national average. What that brings to fore is that to pull, you require something dramatic, to pull this group who are now living on 3 times the national average of the GDP out of that into something else. So this is something that becomes very challenging, and we must admit that we have a problem on our hands.
The fire explosion at Udenze camp follows a series of similar incidents that had claimed many lives in neighboring River State. Executive Director of Youth Advocacy Center, Comrade Donamene Fineface, calls on the River State government to provide alternative sources of livelihood for millions of youths engaged in illegal bunkering in the state.
Let the River State government be able to reactivate the committee that it set up, headed by the Deputy Governor, to address issues of alternative livelihood opportunities for youths who are involved in artisanal crude oil refining in the Niger Delta. The federal government should also take steps to make the modular refinery promise the youths of the Niger Delta since 2017 to come on stream so that these youths can have alternative employment from that process.
The advent of illegal oil bunkering in the Niger Delta has resulted in major shortfalls in Nigeria's daily oil production in recent years. In March this year, President Muhammadu Buhari directed Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timi Pre-Silva, Managing Director of NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, and Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, to jointly halt oil theft in the region. In the midst of the colossal economic losses the country has incurred over time, sustained oil bunkering has led to loss of lives and has seriously degraded the environment on which local communities in the Niger Delta depend for their economic survival. Comrade Donamene Fineface, who faults the federal government's use of force to stop illegal oil bunkering in the Niger Delta, says it cannot continue to shy away from the reality of legalizing artisanal crude oil refining.
Establish the Presidential Artisanal Crude Oil Refining Development Initiative, PACODE, that modifies and of course legalizes artisanal crude oil refining in the Niger Delta, the same way they do for youths who are involved in illegal gold mining in parts of the north and western Nigeria, through the establishment of the Presidential Artisanal Gold Mining Development Initiative, PAGMI. So I call on the federal government to intensify effort, not just to crack down on youths who are involved in artisanal refining by sending the military like we have here, but also able to provide alternative livelihood opportunities for some of these youths so that we can have a better environment, a better society where the youths do not depend on criminal activities of this nature to be able to succeed.
At the time of filing this report, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, had discovered over 100 corpses at the Udense bunkering site. Clearly, the latest fire incident related to illegal oil bunkering in the Niger Delta has the highest number of fatalities and remains the most tragic of similar incidents for now. Needless to say, this is an emergency situation that government at all levels must collectively address without any further delay to save lives and property in the Niger Delta.
Inside the Niger Delta.
The human rights community in Rivers State has frowned at the non-disclosure of the actual cause of the fire outbreak at the exhibit yard of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, in Iriebe town several weeks after the incident occurred. Some human rights activists who spoke to correspondent Biola Festus called on the NSCDC to disclose the actual cause of the fire incident without any further delay.
On Monday, 14th March this year, there was a fire outbreak at the exhibit yard of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, housing scores of tankers containing petroleum products seized from suspected illegal crude oil refiners. The inferno quickly spread through the exhibit yard, causing great panic in its immediate vicinity of Iriebe town in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State. Although there was no loss of life, the damage was heavy as scores of vehicles, including cars, buses, trucks, and tankers were burnt beyond recognition. Zonal commandant of the NSCDC in charge of Akwa Ibom, Cross River and Rivers States, James Bassi, who visited the fire scene to carry out an on-the-spot assessment of the incident, told reporters that it was too early to confirm its actual cause. In the wake of the fire incident at the exhibit yard of the NSCDC in Iriebe, Paramount ruler of Iriebe community, Eze Jeremiah Warrenwu, had attributed the incident to official sabotage.
Those officers of civil defense, they are the one doing this thing because they thought maybe it will not get to this stage. Now that we have a serious crisis of fuel, they start selling the products there. I think it is highly... They know what they are doing.
Several weeks after the fire incident, the human rights community in Rivers State has raised concern over the non-disclosure of its actual cause. Port Harcourt-based human rights activist Comrade Solomon Lenu fears that there is an attempt to sweep under the carpet what he considers an act of malfeasance.
Here are the civil defense, who are a security apparatus, who are supposed to do things differently. They are also hiding in secrecy. And that is to tell you that they know about this fire inferno, they are complicit in it, they have a hand in it, because that's the only logical reason why they've kept mute all along.
In his reaction, Public Relations Officer of the NSCDC in Rivers State, Olufemi Ayodele, said the cause of the fire incident would be in public domain in no distant time.
A high-panel investigative committee was set up from the national headquarters, and currently we are waiting for their reports. But like we have always assured the good people of Rivers State, that we will not relent in the fight against oil theft and the oil bunkering generally in Rivers State.
Till date, most residents of Iriebe are still in a state of panic as a result of last month's fire incident at the exhibit yard of the NSCDC and would want the yard relocated from the area for their personal safety and security. Environmentalist Christian Otiasa demands an incident audit to determine the cause of the fire outbreak and forestall its future occurrence.
What I expect them to do is to be able to get the experts, environmental auditors, to go and audit that place precisely without sentiments, without any intent to cover up, and come up with what the situation is.
So far, 5 suspects have been arrested in connection with the fire incident at the exhibit yard of the NSCDC in Iriebe town. The human rights community in Rivers State would want to know the role of the suspects and any other possible culprits in what is obviously a disaster of monumental proportions.
Inside the Niger Delta. Azikel Group, oil and gas, dredging, power and air transportation. Azikel Group, petroleum product sufficiency, energy sustainability and infrastructure development.
everything home, all in one place. Visit Home Options today at 22 Aba Port Harcourt Express Road, Port Harcourt, Rivers State, or call 080-998-08678 or 080-331-34055, or visit our website www.homeoptionsng.com.
As the controversy surrounding the PDP selection process of its governorship candidate in Delta State continues, the Urobo Progress Union, UPU, in a rather surprising but very bold move, publicly endorsed Olorogun David Edebie as its sole governorship candidate for the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The move, which caused a stir in political circles in Delta State, is being received with mixed reactions from several quarters. Since 1999, oil-rich Delta State has been ruled by the People's Democratic Party, PDP. According to its members, in order to ensure equity, an unwritten rotation arrangement between the three senatorial districts was established for the office of governor. Delta Central produced the first governor in 1999, then Delta South in 2007, and eventually Delta North in 2015 in the person of Senator Ifeanyi Okowa. His tenure will expire in 2023. Expectedly, another round of rotation will begin with Delta Central producing the next governor of the state from 2023. However, this has generated so much controversy because former governor of Delta State, Chief James Onanefe Ibori, a leader of the Urobos, and current governor of Delta State, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, seem to disagree over their choice of an appropriate successor to Governor Okowa. While Chief James Ibori prefers former two-time commissioner and former chief of staff to Ifeanyi Okowa, Olorogun David Edebie, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa allegedly prefers Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Sheriff Obore-Ewori. While visiting the leadership of the Urobo Progress Union, UPU, recently, Chief James Ibori said he would rather not be involved in the selection process of an Urobo representative to fly the PDP flag in the next governorship election. As James Ibori puts it, the Urobo leadership is capable of doing that.
I may not come out again, by the grace of God. The governor, the others, I'm sure Urobo can handle it. What are you talking about? You must interview me. Yes. Are you just going to wake up one morning? You will lose. You come in one appreciate to God. I'm going to wash it. I'm going to wash it. I'm going to debt actually.
Chief Ibori, however, advised the Urobo leadership to put their best foot forward by supporting the best candidate that the Urobo nation has to offer. Speaking in riddles, both in English and Urobo languages, Chief Ibori said after having very cerebral governors like Dr. Emmanuel Udwanga and Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, the state cannot afford to lower its standards.
Senator Okowa made aggregate 6. For example, it's a brilliant man. Dr. Brown made aggregate 6. For example,
Days later, in a UPU statement titled Governorship of Delta 2023, Our Stand, Our Choice, and signed by its President General Olorogun Moses Tiger and 4 others, including President of its Women's Wing and Youth's Wing, the UPU endorsed Olorogun David Edebie as its consensus candidate after a 4-day rigorous engagement with all Delta Central PDP governorship aspirants. According to the UPU statement, and I quote, "After thoroughly examining and analyzing all the aspirants, we have however reached a consensus that Olorogun David Edebie is the best person for the job at this time. Over time, he has acquired impressive public sector experience both locally in Delta State and federal government and prior outstanding international development finance experience." Unquote. Upon release of the statement to the public, several groups in Urobo land went to press with their different reactions. While some of the groups condemn the UPU endorsement because they believe that the UPU, an umbrella body of all Urhobo sociocultural organizations, should not be involved in politics, others commended the UPU for defending the political interests of Urhobos. As reactions continue to trail the UPU endorsement of Olorogun David Edebie, what is clear is that the endorsement has indeed caused some ripples in the camps of other aspirants, the Urhobo nation, and indeed Delta State at large. As part of attempts to continue to reassure its supporters, groups loyal to Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori have continued to issue statements insisting that Honorable Oborevwori is still in the governorship race. Also following the endorsement is a seeming softening of Governor Okowa's position on his possible successor. Earlier believed to be supporting Honorable Oborevwori, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa last Sunday at a church service in Sapele told Deltans that he would not impose his choice on the people, but would rather allow the will of God to provide Deltans with a worthy successor as governor.
Whoever God wills for Delta State shall be governor, and that is what is important. God knows whom he wants. May that person be governor in the name of Jesus. One thing I know that I have tried to do, I'm not praising myself because this came as a warning from God. 1 Peter 5 verse 3 says, do not be Lord over my flock. Do not be Lord over God's flock. And that is what I look forward to. May God's will be done for Delta State.
The recent UPU endorsement of David Edebie no doubt is a major boost for his campaign to become governor of Delta State. Despite opposition and distractions here and there, what is becoming clearer by the day is that the generality of Deltans appear to have decided that only the very best will henceforth govern the state and help to positively transform the big hearts.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Member representing Sagbama Ekirimo Federal Constituency of Bayelsa State in the House of Representatives, Honorable Fred Agbedi has assured his constituents of his unwavering commitment to their welfare. Honorable Agbedi gave the assurance recently while commissioning a private healthcare center at Canaan Community in Sagbama local government area of Bayelsa State as part of his constituency project.
In the course of interacting with the people, member representing Sagbama Ekirimo Federal Constituency of Bayelsa State, Honorable Fred Agbedi, has traversed over 90% of communities in his federal constituency. However, it was his first visit to Canaan Community in Sagbama local government area, where he went to commission a primary health care center recently. For many years, the brand new health care center had been a necessity which members of Canaan Community longed for to deal with several health challenges confronting them as a people. Project for the construction of the health care center was facilitated by President of Canaan Community Development Union, Mr. Leonard Osiogbo, and executed under the Zonal Intervention Project of Sagbama Ekirimo Federal Constituency of Bayelsa State. With the provision of the health care center, Mr. Osiogbo says disease prevalence has become a thing of the past in Canaan Community.
A lot of, issues that relates to malaria that kill my people up, will not take place as usual again because now the healthcare is close to them and it is accessible.
Canaan Community in Sagbama local government area of Bayelsa State is a remote settlement of rural dwellers faced with limited access to quality healthcare services, especially in emergency situations. Undoubtedly, the provision of a health care center comes with a huge relief for the community. Representative of the Bayelsa State Ministry of Health at the commissioning of the health center, Dr. Williams Apia, enjoined the community to take ownership of the project.
The Ministry of Health, through the primary health care center, will make sure this goes on. But one important part is the community. The community must accept it and take it as their own.
During his recent visit, Honorable Fred Agbedi went around Canaan Community where he came across a devastating shoreline encroachment occasioned by coastal erosion and promised to bring the people's plight to the notice of the relevant authorities. According to Agbedi, attracting development to communities in Sagbama Ekirimo Federal Constituency is a fulfillment of the social contract he entered into with them as their political representative in the National Assembly.
You vote for us.
It is one important reason why we are here. To see those of you who are praying for us, who are clapping for us, who are casting your votes, who are doing everything to make sure that we go to where we are. So if you have any opportunity to give back, why won't we give back?
The primary health care center at Kenan Community, which is accompanied with medical equipment and other utilities, has been formally handed over to the Bayelsa State government to make it functional and accessible to end users.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Finally, before we go on the program today, we take you to Sapele in Delta State. It was a Shekiri culture on display as the Ikomi family of Ugbege community in Warri North local government area held its annual Easter family reunion. This year, the family celebrated the patriarch of the Ikomi family by unveiling his statue. Warren Chief Ikomi Onya Esheye was born in 1841 and died in 1922. He was the son of Prince Esheye, who was begat of Princess Ekpedure, eldest child of Olu Atogboa, the 14th Olu of Warri. Chief Eugene Ikomi, the Olulaye of Warri Kingdom, who spoke about the unity of the Ikomi family worldwide, thanked all those who were able to make it to this year's family reunion.
The idea here for us today is to bring all of us together. Let us try and know ourselves. The family is so big. We are here today to celebrate us, the Ikomi family. We thank God and we thank all of you that made it here.
Inside the Niger Delta.
And with that report, we draw the curtain on the program. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. And please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDNTV Nigeria. The next week, I am Mamode Akuga, thanking you for staying tuned. Bye for now.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
It's scary, isn't it? Putting yourself out there. Ignoring the voices telling you you can't. Will you step aside or will you go for it? After all, what's the worst that could happen? So, keep trying. Don't stop. Believe in yourself and go for it. Aladana, available in many variants to nourish you every step of the way.
On Plus TV News now, APC national leader Bola Tinubu picks party 100 million naira presidential nomination form. PDP National Working Committee warns against imposition of candidates. South Africa government raises alarm of fifth wave of COVID-19. Hello and welcome. I'm Tolu Ojewumi with the news now. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has picked the APC 100 million naira presidential nomination and expression of interest form. It was gathered that Tinubu, who is in Saudi Arabia for Hajj, was represented by some of his close associates. Loyalists of the strongman of Lagos politics picked up the presidential form for him at the APC national headquarters, Abuja. Already, Minister of State for Education, Emeka Nwajuba, Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello, amongst others, have picked up the APC presidential forms, while others are expected to follow suit in coming days. Meanwhile, a former Senate President, Ken Namani, has joined the race also to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari in 2023. Disclosing this while speaking with journalists in Abuja, Namani said Nigeria needs a man of tested integrity and competence to mobilize citizens to overcome tough challenges. He noted that his pedigree as the President of Senate and Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Constitutional and Electoral Reforms prove he would improve on Buhari's legacies. In the meantime, Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who is also a presidential aspirant under the platform of the APC, has visited the palace of the Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty, Oware II, as part of his consultation moves ahead of the party's primaries. Receiving the Vice President, the Benin King charged the country's political class to imbibe in them virtues of good leadership, as well as the fear of God. Take a listen.
It seems to have always been a trend in the system also, or in their DNA maybe, that promise all sorts of things, use all sorts of tactics, sometimes high-handed tactics, mischievous tactics to get the vote of the electorate, at the end of which they turn their back on the electorate and not put the electorate as king, and not put the electorate first. when another election is coming, they run back to the same electorates. Please, I want to appeal to politicians to make this country, Nigeria, a great country again.
In many ways, I think that God has guided my life in such a way that I've been given opportunities to serve this country. But at every point, at every turn, I've always felt that there was more that one could do. And I believe that even at this time, the opportunity calls again for serious, considered service to our country. And I am more than ever determined, more than ever committed to ensuring that I give the very best I can to our country, along with so many others who are also willing and able to give their best to the country. So this is exactly why I'm here.
Meanwhile, the APC has said it's yet to zone its presidential ticket for the 2023 elections. Its national chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, disclosed this while speaking to State House correspondents after presenting the party's candidate for the Ekiti governorship election, Biodun Oyebanji, to President Muhammadu Buhari. Adamu was accompanied to the presidential villa by the Ekiti governor, Dr. Kaide Fayemi, Kebbi State Governor Atiku Bagudu, and National Secretary of the APC, Senator Yola Mishore. The Northern Elders Forum, NEF, on Thursday asked major political parties to throw the contest for their presidential tickets open to all regions, asserting that the zoning system is no longer desirable. The PDP presidential aspirant, Governor Udom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom and former Governor of Anambra, Mr. Peter Obi, say the decision of the party regarding zoning is supreme. Both PDP chieftains say the party's decision on zoning of political offices will be obeyed by all aspirants once it's announced. The aspirants stated this while speaking with newsmen in Abuja today, immediately after their screening by the PDP Presidential Screening Committee. In the meantime, the National Working Committee, NWC, of the PDP has told stakeholders of the party that it will not tolerate the imposition of candidates in its three-man ad hoc and National Delegates Congress scheduled for tomorrow. The party warned that it will not accept meddlesomeness or any form of infringement in the exercise. All party leaders, stakeholders, and officials are enjoined to conduct themselves in line with the party's regulations in congresses. Moving on, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has picked up the APC 50 million naira governorship nomination and expression of interest form. The governor's chief press secretary, Biga Akoshele, disclosed this on his Twitter page today. According to him, the lawmaker representing Ikeja Federal Constituency of the House of Representatives, James Faleke, picked the forms on behalf of the governor. The governor was also given a pass mark for staying true to the developmental agenda of the state. The national chairman of APC, Abdullahi Adamu, has expressed optimism that the party will win the forthcoming governorship election for Ekiti State, slated for June this year. Adamu expressed his view in Abuja today when he formally presented the APC candidate for the election to President Muhammadu Buhari. The chairman also expressed confidence that the presidential primaries will be free and fair, culminating in the emergence of an acceptable candidate. He disclosed that the APC has not yet decided which part of the country its presidential candidate would come from. Elections have come and gone in Nigeria, but many voters are still unsatisfied with the outcomes. Many times, those who represent them in governance do not carry them along, or the electorate themselves don't even know how to assert themselves. Year in, year out, the electorate keep asking for better representation from those they vote for as public office holders. Is this too much to ask for? How can the people at the grassroots be better represented and involved? Well, these are questions begging for answers. To look at this and other issues on the Primetime News tonight is Honorable Kehinde Bamigbeta. He is a former Commissioner for Information in Lagos and an aspirant Oshodi Solo Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives under the APC, is live with us in the studio. Thanks for joining us tonight.
A pleasure to be here. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you very much for coming. You have had your time in public office, prominently for that matter, and you're still an aspirant. You want to represent your people at the Federal House of Representatives. So we're beginning to look at how public office holders are fared in past elections and how well they've carried the people along. We're having a conversation the other time, and you said to me, that is it that the public office holders do not carry the people along, or the people themselves do not know how to assert themselves? So which way do we go?
Well, democracy is about the people. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is very clear that we, the people, came together to have this constitution for ourselves. It's based on that constitution that people join parties to be elected. And so the concept of popular sovereignty, that power ultimately is with the people, must always be asserted. But this concept cannot be arrogated to a set of people, for 4 years or for a long time. The people must always be conscious of the fact that they own the power over their people, and they must always call them to account every minute, every time for the period, for the mandate that they have been given. Now, this is where we have problems, essentially, in people asserting their control over their representatives. The Constitution has been very, very elaborate in providing even for recall, that you can recall your representatives if they are not serving you well. But when it comes to people organizing themselves to take control of their representatives, we see a lot of failures. The Nigerian democracy is still very, very young. So we should be ready to test it, to experiment with it, to initiate measures to make it more democratic, more popular democratic in content. That is what we are not having. What we have had so far is what we call civil rule. We are yet to have democracy. Democracy is one where the power of the people over their representatives is obvious. It's a daily routine. It's a cultural thing, and until we get to that place, that's when we say we truly have a democracy. So for now, we need to make that democracy. We need to cook the food. We need to cook the meal. And in doing so, we can't just be spectators. We need to go out there and assert our rights. So each time students, each time working class, each time traders assert themselves, either they demonstrate or voice their opinions, they're helping us to build that democracy, And therefore, we also require people who are representing us to respond to these moves.
Okay, now...
So it's a two-way thing.
Two-way thing.
But the people who should initiate are the owners of the mandate, the citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I'm happy you mentioned popular sovereignty. These are enshrined in Chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution anyway, as amended in 2011. Now, I'll come back to civil rule as against democracy later, but now, popular sovereignty, power belongs ultimately to the people, Chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution. I'm aware of that. But let me bring it down. We need to better involve the people at the grassroots in democracy, as you also agree with me that the people need to assert themselves. But there's this disconnect, usually, when, and I want to know why, when the electorate voting someone like you, a member of the House of Representatives or a senator, and then in an attempt to assert themselves, they now begin to attempt to establish a communication line with them. They have complaints in their constituencies, they have issues in their areas, in their local environment, and they want to communicate this to the people that are up there in Abuja who are representing them. But they can't even call them. They call time and again. It keeps ringing. They don't pick their calls again. They don't want to talk to them again. The same people they came to like this that pushed them into power when they were saying, I want to be there for you. Push me there. They can't talk to them again. Drive me there. Now they can talk to them. What would someone like you do differently?
We are not organizing enough. That's what I'm saying. We are not organizing enough. We're not holding the power enough. And what people like me, the difference we offer is that because we recognize this fact, we work to empower people more.
How do you want to work as a president? Let's bring it to you.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I was chairman of a local government.
Okay.
Right?
Which local government?
Ejigbo LCDA.
Okay.
Ejigbo Hajj. And I made it a rule that every month I will go word by word and give an account of how I spent money every month. That was novel. But that basically was to let people understand that you have a right to know how the people you put in power, how they spend your money. And it doesn't have to wait till a year. You could do it every other month, and you could ask questions. Now, there are what we call community development associations. I make sure that I will go around the CDAs regularly. I will tour the CDAs regularly. In fact, I increased the CDAs from 15 to 75 so that we could see the power being moved in the grassroots level. So if you don't create those structures, and if you don't encourage those structures to assert themselves, you will not have democracy. You will have civil rule. Okay? You will elect people who don't bother about you, who don't care about you, who give you money when elections come.
Are you still in touch with those LCDAs as of today?
That's where I live. That's where I live. So it's live. I mean, that's why I go to.
So since you live there, you have a working relationship with them. You have a practical interaction with them from time to time.
You start from your street.
You feel what they feel. You see what they see. You live what they live.
So that's it. So if you find somebody, you put somebody in power. You don't meet the children, in any stores. You don't meet him at the filling stations. You don't see him around for quite a long time, and he comes back and he says, "You elect me." You should be asking questions. You should be asking, "Where have you been all this while?" Why haven't we felt your touch? How come our complaints have not been answered to? So these are issues, and so I'm saying that the major challenge of our current civil dispensation is that we are not organizing enough, we are not asking questions enough, we are not active enough, and only a very active citizenry that can mold a responsive and responsible democracy. So that's where we are. And we are still very young doing it, so we should not stop asking questions. We should not stop trying to put people we put into power to respond to our needs, to engage us, to converse with us, We are so happy today that the mass media, the social media, the media of communications have become so widened that nobody has any excuse for not communicating and creating conversations. So we think that for now, let people be more active, and the more you are active, the more you engage. When people who you put into power, when they come back, then you can use your ultimate power, which is the power of the ballot, to determine their fates.
Are you aware, Honorable? Are you aware that some people at the grassroots have to many times pay their way through to the National Assembly before they get certain bills passed? Or sponsored, before they get certain bills sponsored?
You see, the point basically is the process of getting laws passed is quite a lot. There are interest groups, for example, who, for example, want to have a bill or a law that protects their profession or protects their business. If they put resources behind it, you may not be able to follow them because they have a specific, reason. But when you are talking of bills that have to do with the rights of the common man, that should not involve, pushing funds. That should be obvious. I mean, the right of a child, for example, to education should be obvious. You don't need to push money behind that. But I'm saying that the lobbying process, as established all over the world, involves a lot of resources. And basically, there are big interests, when they want laws that can conduce with their environment, tends to push it. But I believe that ultimately what we need is a citizenry that holds the people that is put in power accountable.
Thank you very much for your time on Primetime News. We sincerely hope, because many of them sound like this before they get there, only for them to get there and then break every bridge.
We started from the student unions to labor to where we are right now. So it's a long history, and I've never failed anybody.
I see. Okay, what's left is for me to wish you all the best in your political aspirations.
Welcome. Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Let's move on. Christian Abe, the global coordinator of Delta Lives Matter, has faulted the endorsement of David Adeviwe of the PDP as a candidate of Delta Central Senatorial District when there were other aspirants from the district. Our super correspondent Akpomejo Friday reported that Christian Abe noted the Urobo Progress Union loves to heat up politics every election here. Let's hear from him.
To tell Deltans that Adeviwe is their sole candidate. And we ask, why Adeviwe? Why the hurry? Why don't you people wait for your party, for the PDP, to finish their primaries before presenting, before endorsing your beloved Adeviwe? And they were in a hurry to package and present Adeviwe, telling us he has the knowledge, the experience, the skill, all that the experience they felt he has, more than someone who is a deputy state president. I wonder the experience he has in governance more than someone who is a speaker of State House of Assembly. I wonder the experience he has more than someone who was a minister.
Now, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Farouk, has asked security operatives to crack down on illegal refineries in Imo State. Farouk spoke in the Wari, capital of Imo State, during a courtesy visit to the state government over the base explosion that claimed hundreds of lives in Egbima area. She was represented by Director Relief and Rehabilitation of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Mr. Alhassan Noko. She urged community leaders to cooperate with various governments to curb oil theft in oil-producing areas of the state.
We have come to Imo State to convey federal government sympathy to the government and the good people of Imo State over the unfortunate explosion at Abezi Forest, or Haji Egbema local government, which occurred on Saturday, 23rd April 2022. This unfortunate disaster happened only 1 week after another tanker explosion in Lagos. The ministerial press release decried the two incidences. We pray for the repose of the souls of those who lost their lives in the disaster and condole with their families and the government of Imo State. While certain hazards of disasters are preventable, we shall continue to pray to the Almighty God for His mercy, protection, and understanding of disaster risks and how to avoid them.
Now, the Environmental Rights Action Era, Friends of the Earth Nigeria, and other civil society organizations have disagreed with the ongoing divestments by international oil companies, IOCs, in the Niger Delta. The groups who expressed their displeasure at an interactive session with the media on the motives behind the IOC's divestments in the region, organized by ERA in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, lamented the health impacts of activities of the IOCs on people of the region. The report.
Stakeholders in the Niger Delta region said the divestment move by all multinationals is contrary to the Energy Transition Advocacy Plan to renewable energy sources. They described it as a ploy to reject their developmental obligations and responsible for polluting the air. The groups expressed worries that about 70 years after oil extraction in the region and its adverse effects, there are emerging indications of more problems in the Niger Delta. In his address, the executive director of ERA, Chima Williams, said the level of environmental pollution suffered by the people of the Niger Delta region in the hands of multinational oil companies is incomparable globally.
What is needed is just for governments to set the guidelines, set the regulatory mechanisms, set the standards, okay? And we have been asking for, if you are divesting, one thing that you should do, put back the environment and the people in the position they were before you started operation. If you are not going to do that, you want to divest, put a divestment bond. Nigerian government should set amount that will be enough to do legacy cleanup.
Also speaking at Don at the University of Port Harcourt, Professor Sophie Peterside explained the major reasons behind the divestment by the IOCs. He said that there is a need for a better understanding and community engagement on the global environmental justice.
This trend will have negative impact on investment and production in the oil and gas sector, and by extension, revenue accruable to the Nigerian state and spending in the oil-bearing communities.
We owe ourselves the responsibility of ensuring that we target programming and interventions to address exclusion, even when the system or the processes exclude us from participating. If you work in the communities, you will agree with me that when you go to communities for intervention, they begin to look at you suspiciously. So we need to build trust by opening up the space for participation.
It's a question of responsibility. How do we start to take responsibility, to be proactive, to do what we must do in order to cause a change? 80% of ministers of petroleum are from the Niger Delta. They will not even acknowledge the petition from their own community because they are in cahoots, because they are more focused on transactions.
The stakeholders opine that there is the need for the IOCs to decommission their toxic assets and carry out remedial actions to be monitored by independent bodies and civil society organizations in the communities.
Gunmen have killed 2 locals and a soldier at Rukwe Chongol village of Kwao district of Basa local government area of Plateau. The Special Task Force Operation Safe Haven, OPSH, maintaining peace in Plateau and environs, confirmed the incident. The incident occurred last night. The attackers also destroyed many food barns and carted away foodstuffs, animals, and other valuable items. Media practitioners have been advised to, as a matter of duty, create time to discuss governance, especially as it relates to and how to ensure it can effectively make the government implement, track, and account for its policies. This was the topic of discourse at a Media Executives Roundtable organized by the Partnership to Engage Reform and Learn, Pearl, in collaboration with UK Aid, a UK government-funded organization held in Victoria Island, Lagos.
At the event with the theme, Enhancing Governance and Service Delivery at the Subnational Level, leveraging on the ongoing Constitution Amendment exercise, the organizer, Dr. Adia Ode, in her welcome address, encouraged journalists not to be biased in their news reportage, as this will put the government on its toes as per the delivery of the dividends of democracy.
And so we thought it was important that we get media executives together to talk about these bills, to talk about current issues relating to governance at that subnational level, and really instigate their consciousness about the need to play their role in shaping public opinion.
Delivering the keynote address, Sonny Irabo harped on why state governments must ensure the financial autonomy of their local government.
The media should be the watchdog for the clearly financial ambiguity of the law governing the local governments. The media should serve as ombudsman on behalf of the people, making such governance gets to the grassroots or the people.
The panelists, some of whom are one-time media persons, also lent their voices, saying that the media should do more in putting the issue of constitution review on the front burner.
At the moment, the best thing we can do is what the National Assembly has done by looking at Section 7, tearing it apart from beginning to the end, creating autonomy for the local government. And Section 162 was also tinkered with to address the issue of the joint federal state local government account. The idea of having that account is to even enable the state to put money in it, which they never did.
This new provision or bill is actually a very good one, because if it's able to give them that formal recognition as a third tier, then this financial autonomy bill also passes, then it becomes easier. But the major problem lies with state governors who don't want to let go, because they see local governments as being part of the contiguous apparatus of the state. What makes a governor to be a state governor powerfully?
Forgive me, I wasn't trying to make excuses for the media, but what I have said is that the media needs help for this job to be done. Let people like the legislature and everybody, let them be facilitators for journalists to be able to do their job. We have the capacity.
For his part, Dr. Ruben Abati in his presentation said many in the legislative arm of government do not seem thoroughly aware of their responsibilities.
Many of these lawmakers, they don't even know what this exercise is all about. They are distracted. So if there is any way in which they can be engaged, that will be useful. The second thing also is that for journalists, I think more of this exercise should be conducted, not just in Lagos, but maybe at zonal levels.
The convergence of media parties had in attendance professionals from the print, radio, and television. The Chief of Staff to the Deputy Senate President, Otiv Igbuzo, a representative of Special Advisor Media and Publicity to the President, Biodun Oladujoye, among others. Panelists say this awareness will continue until the Nigerian government listens to the yearnings of the people. Paul George, PlusTV News.
Meanwhile, Senator representing Adamawa South Senatorial District, Benos Yare, has inaugurated a mobile hospital for his constituents. Yaro said the mobile hospital is to complement his free medical outreaches across the 9 local government areas of the zone. Speaking during the inauguration in Borom, Dempsey local government area, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who was represented by former Governor Boni Haruna, described the mobile hospital as a world-class facility. Haruna said Yaro had done much for the constituents and deserves to be re-elected.
Facility, and honestly you don't find these facilities in conventional hospitals. They are of world class. My prayer is that the services will be sustained, and as I said here, this is not the job of a legislator. It's a novel approach to service delivery by people's representatives. Basically, the job of a legislator is to make laws for good governance. But for the senator to veer into this aspect of services is quite commendable.
A consultant, Dr. Dawn Telemo, said that the van has everything a clinic should have for effective service delivery. In his remarks, the traditional leader, Marum Biyapo, commended Yaro for the gesture and charged those responsible for the sustenance of the van to ensure justice and fairness to last longer.
Nice. I think it's excellent. It's good that we have the cooperation of the royal fathers and all the people. It's also good that this is a first thing and it will be a challenge to others. It's not that somebody should just do it and others will not do it. We expect that other people will do it for their people, and that way our people will be very happy all over. And it's good that there is a royal blessing we've gotten, and from also the top politicians. And today the flagging off is going to have a few people who will be operated in the van, who will be consulted in the van and have their treatment inside the van, so that you know that it's a fully functional, completely functional mobile clinic.
As the general elections inch closer, Nigerians express their opinions on their expectations from political parties, which one can deliver the deliverance of democracy. Let's get to see that in our street views.
Some other parties should take over, because PDP has been ruling for a very long time.
APC has also been ruling for a very long time. And let me just say, they are all based on the same feather. So they should give opportunity to other party to rule.
It's not about political party. It's where do we get a good leader. That's our problem. So we don't care about whether PDP or APC. If you look at the attitude of our politicians, you could see somebody from APC would come to PDP because of his own interest. You see somebody from APC would come to PDP because of his own interest. So our problem is not about the political party, it's about leadership. Anywhere good leader come, it is welcome.
Please, APC, leave us alone. Please, I'm begging you people, leave us alone. Please, not by force. So. They are the same people now, from this party to this party. Let just the youth or young somebody take over. Let all these old men leave us alone. Look at how we are stressing ourselves, suffering. On this hot sun, every day by day. They should leave us alone. Leave us alone. I have my PVC already, Sha. I know what to do with it.
I don't think the party matters. What matters is the person in particular. I don't care about the party. I care about the person itself.
Today, PDP, tomorrow, APC. Me, I don't like all this kind of wahala. You don't too suffer for Nigeria. So we need another people may come.
This one will tell you this one. This one will tell you that when they are campaigning, they will promise you so things. They are going to make good, bring good school, food, good road, all this one. Nothing is working in this country.
I think we should try another political party. Maybe we will see difference.
These two parties, they are the same group of people. It's recycling. You understand? They keep coming up. If you do them bad in this party, they will come to the other party. It's the same person. So we need fresh people entirely so that we'll be able to get it, see whether we can get it right.
Still ahead, Britain to send investigators to Ukraine to gather war crimes evidence against Russia. Details when we return. Please stay with us.
Is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria?
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
We now move to other parts of Africa. There's a further accusation of former President Jacob Zuma. The latest report by the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture has found that Zuma was prepared to do anything requested by the controversial Gupta family, which has fled from South Africa. The fourth part of the investigations into the plots that led to the looting of South Africa's state coffers during the presidency of Jacob Zuma, that's from 2009 to 2018, was handed over to the presidency today. Since January, the Anti-Corruption Commission of Judge Raymond Zondo has been churning out the conclusions of 4 years of investigations and hundreds of hours of hearings. It's an organized state corruption linked to a sulfurous trio of businessmen of Indian origin, the Gupta brothers. The new report focuses on the misappropriation of funds at the state-owned electricity company, Eskom. Meanwhile, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has praised the ECOWAS for its decisive anti-coup strategy after the arrival of a vanguard stabilization force in Bissau. This was yesterday after a meeting with Umaro Sissoko Embalo, president of Guinea-Bissau. Since August 2020, the military has seized power in 3 West African countries, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Mali, through coups. all three countries have been suspended from ECOWAS bodies. In the meantime, South Africa may be entering a fifth COVID-19 infection wave after a sustained rise in infections over the past 14 days. Health Minister Joe Fowler hinted today.
South Africa may be entering a fifth wave of COVID-19 earlier than expected, health officials and scientists said on Friday. The country, which has recorded the most coronavirus cases and deaths on the African continent, only exited a fourth wave around January. A fifth wave had been predicted to start in May or June. But speaking at a briefing, infectious disease specialist Richard Lessels said waning immunity from previous waves could be contributing to an earlier than expected resurgence. He said the wave was being driven by the BA4 and BA5 Omicron subvariants. Health Minister Joe Partler told the same briefing that, although hospitalizations were picking up, there was no dramatic change in admissions to intensive care units or deaths so far. South Africa has reported more than 3.7 million COVID cases and over 100,000 deaths during the pandemic. On Thursday, the WHO's Africa office flagged the rise in South Africa's infections as the main driver of an uptick on the continent.
Meanwhile, a new outbreak of the Ebola virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo has raised concerns about the risk of regional and international transmission of the virus. The resurgence of the virus in Mbandaka, northwestern DRC, has left 2 people dead since 21 April. As of 27 April, 267 contacts have been identified. That's according to the WHO, which considers it difficult to assess the extent of the epidemic at this stage. The risk of regional and international spread of this epidemic cannot be ruled out. More than 3,000 refugees, migrants and asylum seekers died or went missing last year while trying to reach Europe via Mediterranean and Atlantic Sea routes. The 2021 figure represented nearly twice the number of lives lost in the previous year. Take a listen. Let's get outside Africa now. Ukrainian rescue workers today recovered a body from under the rubble of a building in Kyiv that was hit by a missile. Radio Liberty said in a statement that the body was that of Vera Herich, a producer from the news organization who had worked in the Kyiv bureau since February 2018. He lived in the building that was hit. The death was first reported in Thursday's missile strike as UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres visited Kyiv. Ukrainian officials said 2 Russian missiles had struck the capital. Russia has not commented on the incident. In the meantime, British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss today said that Britain would send investigators to Ukraine to help assist with gathering war crimes evidence. They include specialists trained in investigating acts of sexual violence. Ukrainian prosecutors and the International Criminal Court, ICC, are investigating potential war crimes in Ukraine since Russia's February 24 invasion, which the Kremlin calls a special military operation to demilitarize its neighbor. ICC prosecutor Karim Khan has called for assistance from member states. British Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab said in March that the UK would back war crimes investigations to the hilt.
Well, we want to see justice done for the people of Ukraine. We've seen appalling war crimes committed, the use of rape and sexual violence. We will be sending in a British evidence collecting team, working with the Ukrainian authorities, working with the ICC. We've been talking today about the urgency of making sure justice is done, and that also we call out rape as a use of weapon in war. It's done to subjugate women, to destroy communities, and we want to see it stopped. We'll be sending them out in the month of May. They'll be working closely with the Ukrainian authorities. This is about collecting a wide range of evidence, witness statements, forensic evidence, video evidence. We're also using British intelligence to help show the links between what is happening on the front line and the Russian authorities, because it's important that everybody in the chain of command is held to account.
Now, Poland is ready to guard Slovakia's airspace when its MiG-29 jets are taken out of action. Defense ministers of the two NATO member countries made this clear today, opening the way for a possible delivery of the Soviet-made planes to Ukraine. Slovakia, which operates 12 MiG-29 planes, said earlier this month that it would consider providing the jets to help Ukraine defend itself against invading Russian forces. That's if alternative protection of its own airspace could be arranged. Now, the coronavirus pandemic is not over, and it's unlikely that the United States will ever eliminate COVID-19. But the U.S. should strive to control the virus, top U.S. infectious disease expert Anthony Fauci made this clear today. Health officials are instead hoping to get out of what he called the acute pandemic phase. They want a point where the virus can be controlled, Fauci said at a virtual event hosted by the National Press Club in Washington.
We're seeing variants that emerge every few months. We've had Alpha, Beta, Delta, Omicron, BA2, BA4, BA5. So it's very difficult to really get a strong classical herd immunity when you have immunity that wanes and a virus that in fact does not stay stable, and you have an anti-vax movement which prevents many of the people from getting vaccinated. There is the very acute fulminant phase of an outbreak. And the other day when I said we are no longer in that fulminant acute phase, that does not mean that the pandemic is over. By no means is it over. We still are experiencing a global pandemic.
Up next, African Development Bank pushes $1.5 billion emergency food production plan for Africa. That's in business news. After this short break, stay with us.
And in business news, the economic fallout of the Russia-Ukraine war has pushed the African Development Bank to devise a $1.5 billion African emergency food production plan. The African Development Bank, in a press release, stated that the emergency food plan is currently before the bank's board of directors for approval, and that the initiative will support the country's 5 million smallholder farmers during the wet season of 2022. The African Development Bank's emergency food plan is currently before the bank's board of directors for approval and is set for implementation by the end of May 2022 and will cover all African member countries of the bank. The federal government has said that the value of Nigeria's proven gas reserves of about 206.53 trillion cubic feet was over $803.4 trillion, and that the country had the most extensive gas resource in Africa. It also stated that the European Union had proposed categorizing natural gas as a green energy source, as this would impact favorably on Nigeria due to the country's abundant natural gas reserves. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Temipiri Silva, said Nigeria was following a transition pathway that combined technology, investment, business strategies, and government policy that would enable the country to transition from its current energy system to a low-carbon energy system. Oil prices rose for a fourth day as Russian supply disruption fears trumped COVID-19 lockdowns in China, the world's biggest crude importer, that are weighing on demand. Brent crude futures rose 88 cents or 0.8% to $108.47 a barrel by 0.063 GMT after gaining 2.1% in the previous season. The front month June contract expires later on Friday. The more active July contract rose 97 cents to $108.23 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude gained 55 cents or 0.5% to $105.91 a barrel after setting 3.3% higher. The world's biggest crude importer traders have said that top oil exporter Saudi Arabia may cut prices for crude grade sold to Asia in June after benchmarks slumped from records in the previous month as COVID lockdowns curbed demand in China. Global markets were rattled last month by Western sanctions on Russia, the world's biggest combined crude and oil products exporter, that could curb supplies, pushing Middle East port premiums and temp prices to record high. However, COVID-19 restrictions across China could demand causing prices to tumble this month. And that's the business news. As the rest of the news continues, I am Jacinta Obiuko.
The very best in entertainment is next. Stay with us.
And in entertainment, police conducting a search warrant on A$AP Rocky's Los Angeles home reportedly discovered multiple firearms. The guns reportedly discovered at A$AP Rocky's home will be tested by investigators to see if any of them were used in the 2021 Los Angeles shooting the Rocky is accused of being the triggerman in. Police will also run background checks on the firearms to see if they were purchased legally. As previously reported, A$AP Rocky was taken into custody at LAX after returning to the States following a vacation in Barbados with Rihanna. The A$AP mob member has been charged with assault with a deadly weapon in connection to a shooting that happened in the Hollywood section of Los Angeles on November 6, 2021. Jada Pinkett Smith has said she just realized she suffers from anxiety, though it predates the slap drama stemming from the 2022 Oscars. The actress said she used to bite her fingernails and chew her cuticles, but didn't connect her bad habits to anxiety until raising a daughter. Pinkett Smith explained that dealing with and learning about her daughter's anxiety helped her realize she had an anxiety issue herself. She revealed that her conversations with her mother also allowed her to forgive her for downplaying her anxiety throughout her childhood. A petition to remove Amber Heard from Aquaman 2 has so far reached over 2.3 million signatures as she faces her ex-husband Johnny Depp in court. Fans have begun calling for Heard to also be removed from Aquaman 2, in which she stars as the titular hero's love interest, Mera. The DC sequel, directed by James Wan, wrapped filming in January and is set for release in March 2023. At the time of going to press, a petition set by fans to have Heard removed from the movie had topped 2.3 million signatures of its 3 million goal. The trial, which had been going on for 12 days, is expected to last around 7 weeks after Depp alleged that Heard lied about being a victim of domestic abuse. The forthcoming installment, directed by two-time MI director Christopher McQuarrie, will launch in cinemas in July 2023. Tom Cruise will once again return to the big screens as Ethan Hunt. According to Paramount Pictures, the film has been titled Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, originally slated to hit the cinemas this year. The film's production suffered multiple delays due to pandemic. It will now premiere on July 14, 2023, and its sequel following the next year. Since debuting in 1996, the Mission Impossible franchise has grossed over $3.5 billion at the worldwide box office. And that's all in entertainment. I am Ife Oluwa Oshunkere.
Let's serve you some sports news. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Sports News on Plus TV Africa. Manchester United's interim manager Ralf Rangnick has been appointed as the Austrian national team coach on a 2-year deal, tasked with qualifying for Euro 2024. The country's Football Association President Gerhard Militic said on Friday, April 29th. Rangnick, who will make way at United for Erik ten Hag at the end of the season, has said he will also stay on in a consultancy role at the Premier League club. The contract will be initially for 2 years, but should the team qualify for Euro 2024, then it is automatically extended for another 2 years, the FA said. They added that they expected him to take over in late May after the end of the Premier League season. The German, who took over at United following the sacking of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in November, but had an agreement to work as a consultant for 2 years when he took the job, will be in charge of the Austria team ahead of their Nations League matches in June. In NBA, Joel Embiid and James Harden each had a double-double as the Philadelphia 76ers comfortably saw off the Toronto Raptors 132-97 to advance in the playoffs. League MVP candidate Embiid had 33 points and 10 rebounds, while Harden added 22 points and 15 assists. Chris Boucher came off the bench for the Raptors to score a team-high 25 points. But it wasn't enough as the 76ers pulled away in the second half. The 76ers will now face the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference semis.
There may be a lane or two. Now he backs it down. Siakam, high floater. Young, out of the deflected. Trent back to Young. Here's Maxey with the push. Extra pass. Green has been on fire. Pure. 68-65. Harden with the step. Harden to the bucket. That's vintage. James Bell with a rebound. Jimmy players, good energy. Maxey in transition. He may be available if this series goes to 7 games. Maxey, no, it's not. Chances to take on the Miami Heat. They're sitting at home watching right now. Step back, jump shot. Three to shoot. In the playoffs.
And in tennis, German tennis great Boris Becker arrived at a London court on Friday, April 29th, facing a potential prison sentence of up to 7 years. Earlier this month, the 54-year-old was found guilty of 4 charges, including failing to disclose, concealing, and removing significant assets under the Insolvency Act of 1986, following his bankruptcy trial at Southwark Crown Court. The 6-time Grand Slam champion had been facing 24 counts under the act relating to the period from May to October 2017. Becker, a former world #1, had denied the charges, including 9 counts of not handing over trophies and awards, and 7 of concealing property valued at more than 1.5 million euros. Becker was made bankrupt on June 21st, 2017, at the London High Court in connection with a debt to private bankers Arbuthnot Latham and Co. Under the terms of the bankruptcy order, he was bound to provide full disclosure of assets. And that's all the sports news we have for you for now. Join us next time. My name is Mikhail Tinubu. Have a good night.
And the main news again. APC national leader Bola Tinubu has picked party 100 million naira presidential nomination form. PDP National Working Committee has warned against imposition of candidates. South Africa government is still raging along a 5th wave of COVID-19. That's the news now. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I'm Tolu Ojewumi. Thanks for watching, and do have a good night.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
Yes, you're welcome to the biggest entertainment show on the planet. And of course, you know how we do it on this show. We bring you good vibes and good energy only, of course, while discussing, intellectual conversation, dope narrations, analysis, and of course, with